Okay, let's dive in. What if the world, our world, just stopped and restarted every single century?
Right, like a clean slate. January 1st, boom, back to the beginning.
Exactly. And our sources pinpoint this starting January 1st, 1025. Imagine that. The normal world ended in 925, and then this cycle begins.
And it begins with this one man, Adrian.
Hmm.
He's there on the cliffs of Dover in 1025, and he feels it happen, the world just dissolving.
It's hard to even wrap your head around.
And the absolute kicker is he's the only one who remembers. The only one.
So he carries it all, every loop, every 100 years. He lives through, well, everything we read about in history books.
Think about that scope. The rise and fall of nations, plagues like the Black Death, the Mongol invasions, World War I. He sees it, lives it, multiple times.
That sheer weight of experience, it's almost unimaginable, the layers of memory.
And, naturally, his first instinct, for centuries really, is to try and stop it, to break the cycle.
Our sources track this. We see him, what, as a monk in 1125, trying to figure it out through faith, maybe?
Yeah, and then later, like a scientist in 1225, trying a different approach, logic, observation.
He even gets close to power, right? By 1525, he's advising kings and queens, probably hoping to influence things from the top down.
Dedicating entire lifetimes to these attempts, trying everything he can think
Right,
of.
it's futile. Every single time January 1st hits and poof, back to 1025, everyone forgets, everything resets.
The kind of despair that must build up century after century.
Which brings us to the, let's say, the current loop, the one ending in 2025. This Adrian isn't the same monk or advisor.
No, this is Adrian Vale. He's adapted.
Yeah.
He's used the knowledge from all of those loops.
Right, he's become this eccentric billionaire, private space program, cutting-edge AI labs.
He's hired the best minds, theoretical physicists, historians, everyone he thinks might hold a piece of the puzzle.
All focused on one thing, understanding this loop and maybe finally finding a way out, or at least surviving the reset somehow.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It's December 31st, 2025, New York City.
Yeah, fireworks over the skyline, the big countdown in Times Square, everyone celebrating the new year. But Adrian, he's got bigger plans.
He has his masterpiece ready, the chrono stabilizer. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but it's built on 1,000 years of his unique experience.
Massive coils, pulsing energy. He's trying to somehow interfere with the reset mechanism itself, right? As the clock strikes midnight.
He's putting himself right at the center of it. Talk about high stakes. He must be utterly convinced, or maybe just utterly desperate.
And what happens? It's not a 1025 again. It's something else entirely.
Yeah, the sources describe this feeling of being torn apart, like time itself is just unraveling around him.
And then bang, he's somewhere else, completely different, a huge observation deck.
Looking out at stars, a galaxy that isn't ours. And these beings, tall, slender, shimmering.
Whoa. Okay, so not the reset he expected.
Not even close. And they communicate with him telepathically.
And what do they say?
Basically, your world.
Yeah.
It's a simulation, a test bed. We recalibrate it every 100 cycles.
A simulation. So the loop isn't natural, it's imposed.
Exactly. And Adrian, the guy who remembers, he's an anomaly. A glitch they didn't expect.
So they knew about him all along.
Apparently, yes. They even debated just removing him, getting rid of the glitch.
But they didn't. Why?
They found his struggle, his persistence across centuries. The source says they called it beautiful. They were curious.
Curious, like scientists watching a lab rat.
Pretty much. And just before he's sent back, they leave him with this whisper, "We are curious how far you will go."
Chilling. So, okay, he's back.
Yeah.
January 1st, 1025. Again.
But this time is different. The despair is still there, probably. But there's something else too. Understanding.
He knows what the loop is now. It's not just a force of nature. It's a cage built by them.
And that changes his whole approach. He stops trying to just smash the walls down.
Instead, he starts studying the cage itself, looking for flaws, imperfections.
Like a puzzle, yeah.
Yeah.
And he starts noticing things he perhaps overlooked before. These little bleed-through details.
All kind of details.
Things like, well, scars on people that don't match their current life's history. Objects appearing that are slightly out of time. People who seem subtly different from how they were in the same century before.
Glitches in the matrix, basically. Imperfections in the simulation.
Exactly. Suggesting the creators, these observers, maybe aren't infallible. Their simulation isn't perfect.
And these glitches lead him to maybe the biggest discovery yet.
Right. He realizes he isn't the only anomaly. There are others, the rememberers.
People scattered through time who also hold on to fragments, bits and pieces of past loops.
Yes. Not the full, continuous memory like Adrian, but echoes, feelings, strange knowledge they can't explain.
The sources give examples, right? Like a girl with unusual violet eyes in 1125.
Yeah, or a painting found in 1225 that seems to depict, like, futuristic tech. Or a monk's writings in 1325 predicting historical events with uncanny accuracy.
So these fragments, these memories, are echoing down the centuries, carried by different people in each loop.
It's like a hidden layer of reality, this network of shared, broken memories.
And finding them must have changed everything for Adrian. He's not alone anymore.
Absolutely. Though the sources say the rememberers react differently. Some are driven mad by the conflicting realities in their heads.
Understandable.
Others become artists or writers, leaving these coded clues behind in their work. Messages across time.
And some become active participants, the architects of rebellion.
Yeah, the ones who try to connect the dots, find others, figure out what's going on, and maybe, just maybe, fight back.
Which leads them to this incredibly ambitious plan, the Century Breaker.
It's audacious. The idea is to use their collective consciousness, their shared remembering.
How?
A massive, simultaneous surge of awareness, all focused at the exact moment the reset is supposed to happen. They spend decades, maybe centuries within the loops, embedding messages, mapping weak points.
Like finding stress fractures in the simulations code.
Precisely. So fast forward again, December 31st to 2025. Adrian's on that balcony. Midnight approaches.
But this time is different. He's not just relying on a machine.
No, he's connected somehow to this network. Hundreds, thousands of rememberers across the globe, all poised, waiting.
And he has a trigger.
A simple device, apparently. But it sends out a signal, a neural pulse, designed to ignite that shared memory, that collective consciousness, all at once.
So what happens when they activate it?
It's described as intense. Adrian feels his own mind stretching out, merging with all the others. A flood of shared lifetimes, shared memories, hitting the system all in the same instant.
Trying to overload it.
And it seems to work.
Yeah.
The sources say the loop buckles, the world shatters, dissolves.
And they end up back in that observation room with the tall, shimmering beings.
Adrian and the rememberers.
Yes.
But the vibe is different this time.
How so?
The beings seem uncertain, maybe even surprised. And one of them says, "You were not meant to breach containment."
Containment. Like a zoo or a lab. They definitely weren't expecting that.
Clearly not. They underestimated the power of that collective consciousness, that shared memory.
And Adrian, what does he say?
His response is immediate, defiant. We were not meant to be your experiment.
A total shift in power dynamic right there.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
And the beings then ask him, maybe with genuine curiosity, maybe some apprehension, what will you do? Little variable.
Little variable, still a bit condescending, maybe?
Perhaps. But Adrian's reply cuts right through it.
Yeah.
We're done being rewound.
And then he turns to the others.
Yeah, a call to action. Let's break the clock.
Incredible. So, do they fight?
Interestingly, no. What follows is described more like a negotiation, a conversation.
Really, with these cosmic beings?
Yeah. We learn more about them, the observers. They're essentially scientists, explorers from some vastly different multi-dimensional civilization.
And the Earth simulation.
Yeah.
Like data collection.
Pretty much harvesting knowledge, observing development patterns, maybe.
Yeah.
They weren't necessarily evil, just detached, driven by scientific curiosity on a scale we can barely imagine.
But they were genuinely surprised by humanity's ability to remember, to resist across the loops.
That's the key. They didn't anticipate consciousness asserting itself like that, developing this persistent memory and collective will within their controlled environment.
So what's the outcome of this negotiation?
An offer. Freedom. An end to the endless resets.
In exchange for what?
Partnership. Humanity transitions from being the experiment to being, well, collaborators, perhaps. Sharing knowledge, interacting.
Wow. So the loop actually breaks for good.
That's how the source presents it.
Yeah.
The final scene described is Adrian stepping out, not into Deno 25, but into January 1st, 2125, a full century after the last scheduled reset.
A future that was never supposed to exist. What's it like?
Visibly different, technologically advanced in ways shaped by this new reality, this new relationship. And you can actually see the observer ships in orbit. They aren't hiding anymore.
The cage is gone, but the creators are still there, visible. That's a complex new reality.
Absolutely. And the source notes that Adrian, even in this new future, still carries the echoes of all those lost centuries. That weight doesn't just vanish.
You can't just erase 1,000 years of repeated history from your mind.
Exactly. But then he sees, children playing with tech that's completely new. He looks up at constellations that are finally unfamiliar because time has actually passed.
And he knows they did it.
They made it. They broke the clock. It's such a powerful conclusion to that struggle.
It really is a testament to memory, connection, resilience.
And it definitely leaves you thinking, doesn't it,
Mm.
about our own lives. What loops, maybe smaller, less literal ones,
Hmm.
do we find ourselves in?
Yeah, what perceived limits or cycles shape our own reality without us always realizing it?
Right. And maybe the key, like for Adrian and the Rememberers, lies in recognizing those patterns,
Mhm.
connecting with others, and finding the courage to try and break free, whatever that might mean for us. Perhaps memory and connection are more powerful tools than we usually give them credit for.